This week in Destiny, Bungie is cooking up some portal updates, and they are going over what class fantasy is meant to be in Destiny 2. Should be a pretty spicy one. Let's jump into it. This week in Destiny, portal and progression updates. We initially outlined some goals on August 7th dedicated to improving progression, increasing Crucible, and Fireteam Ops rewards. They have since regressed and reverted a lot of those changes. So now they have to update everyone with the TWID, right? And addressing feedback around raid rewards. Last week, while we covered a handful of improvements to scoring and portal rewards, we also announced plans to tune some rewards down in solo and pinnacle ops. Based off player feedback, we're revisiting our approach to balancing progression, as we believe our previous approach was too conservative, and these nerfs would work against our goals of improving progression. To be clear, we believe these changes were the wrong call. Gotcha. We want all portal activities in the portal, solo, or fireteam base to feel rewarding. We want our activities to contribute understandable and meaningful progress to your climb in power. As such, the following changes are being made immediately. Planned reductions to power earned for a given grade within solo ops have been reverted. Okay, the exotic missions one being reverted, and the prime engrams required decryption of the tower also being reverted. So we've covered these three changes as well. These were changes that they said they were going to do, and then everyone was like, this would be the worst thing ever, Bungie. Stop. Stop. So they did. Buffs and fireteam ops. When it comes to fireteam ops, we know we have work to do. Here's a list of buffs we're planning on and some new changes that we're adding to response to your feedback, okay, for 9008, which is already live. So they're doing a buff to the time limits, okay? We got Ash and Iron, which is September 9th, I believe. Increase the number of drops for Liminality, Inverted Spire, and Onslaught Widow's Court. So basically just a massive buff to Fireteam Ops across the board to incentivize people to actually go into that playlist, because right now everyone is either doing solo or they're doing the exotic missions. We got buffs to the portal rewards. The following plan changes are focused on increasing rewards or increasing reward quality, chance of prime engram drop per completion reward, activities with more base completion rewards such as Liminality and Inverted Spire will provide more chances for prime engrams to drop. So right now you're getting one at like 5% every time you clear an activity, but if you do some of these other activities that have more completion reward drops, then you should have a significantly higher chance. I don't know what it's going to be. If it's going to be 10, 15, 20%, we'll have to see. But hopefully it is pretty good, because right now grinding from 400 to 450 is really tough. And once Ash and Iron goes live, it'll be grinding from 500 to 550 will be tough. So they said we are working on, oh, this is new. We're working on creating a more consistent power reward experience for the upper power climb in Ash and Iron. This will be power 500, 550. Very good. Okay, so that's going to be much better than the like RNG prime engram thing that they've been doing. More buffs. Okay, in last week's TWID, we provided a ton of information about various changes and the data that drove them. Hidden within were several buffs, small and large, which we wanted to scoop out of that doc to more clearly highlight. All right, so we got the Desert Perpetual Raid, weekly challenges added, improved gear tier drops, and gear attunement. So you should be able to level up and attune the weapon that you like. The portal time bonus earned will grant 5% minimum score if you make the timer. Your account's highest power will be used for reward score rather than equipped power. This is so much better. And conquest will now be replayable instead of just a one-time only thing. In the long run, we are still going to be cautious about a singular ops category or activity becoming the go-to for power leveling. We want Destiny to be a game where you want to hop in with friends to level, rather than declining an invite to spend time in a solo activity for the sake of progression. Which is fine, but you should also understand that even though you want Destiny to be a social game, you need it to be both, right? You need people to have the option. If they want to play by themselves, let them play by themselves. And if people want to play together, they should, you know, be just as rewarded to play together as well. Destiny, by and large, is always going to lean a little more on the social side than the solo side. But we definitely need a game for both, because there's a lot of people. I'm telling you right now, every time I talk about this topic, countless people come out of the woodworks in the comment section, and they're like, I ain't playing with anyone. I hate playing with people in this game. So You have to give them a solo option out there. In this case, we understand that alternate experiences need to be brought up a bit more to help things feel good, rather than pushing other options down in the short term. And we don't want players who generally just want to play solo or pinnacle ops feeling like they're getting caught by a stray nerf. Our current approach is to bring options up and make sure they feel good before we look at the problem child. Our hope is to continue to iterate and improve the progression through the power band with these increases to fireteam ops, the portal, as well as combined with the improvements to the Crucible. We have made the additional improvements to raid rewards coming in 910 as well. Now onto regularly scheduled TWID. So this was just basically recovering from last week's disaster. It was easily one of the worst TWIDs to date. A lot of people were really mad, so they had to regress and revert a lot of that stuff. And so now we're back to where we were. And I think these are mostly good changes are coming then, right? This week in Destiny, we're bringing back heavy metal and a new event pass and new rewards. So it's like a little mini event. Okay, so if you're interested, you can be a tank, you can be a brig, and you can fight each other in this goofy PvP playlist. Okay, and said some previews on the newest updates on weapon and exotic changes. So heavy metal's back. So you got defining warlocks, titans, and hunters. Okay, so this is the full TWID now. We're actually launching the proper TWID. Cool. All right. Heavy metal is back in the Crucible. So for this time around, it's going to be 3v3, and you're going to achieve an emblem for rank 5, a new sword hollow foil for hitting rank 10, okay, and a kinetic shotgun hollow foil for hitting rank 15. All right, that sounds good. Sounds like it's worth it to go in and play a good amount of heavy metal. Hopefully this gives you some good rolls. And you can get the Griffin if you didn't get it before. This is a Sparrow that actually shoots bullets out of it. This game mode will last for 7 days, starting on September 2nd and ending September 9th. So keep that in mind. 1 full week starting this Tuesday. Twitch drops will be available throughout the entirety of Heavy Metal. So if you watch my Twitch stream, which will be linked down below, click on the link. Follow, notifications on, we will be live. We will let you get your heavy metal emblem. Don't worry, we got you locked in. Class Fantasy in Destiny. When you boot up Destiny 2 for the first time, your Guardian class is the first choice you ever make as a light bearer. Do you want to be the floaty one holding the fireball, the slender one with the cape and blade, or the big one with the single monstrous shoulder piece? Each Guardian class, the right answer is this one, of course. This is what you want to be. Each Guardian class has a unique fantasy that players assume as they play. When they talk about fantasy at Bungie, we often split the term into emotional fantasy and mechanical fantasy. To oversimplify, emotional fantasy is how you feel when you play, and mechanical fantasy is what you do when you play. Gotcha. When it comes to the mechanical fantasy or the gameplay role that the classes play in combat, Destiny's classes don't have the hard lines that some other RPGs have. So other games will have like a tank or a healer, right? This is partially due to the demands of a fast-paced action game, but also because Guardians are tiny gods with the power to cross lines and break rules. We don't have a dedicated healer class or DPS class. Yes, we deliberately give certain classes more access to some keywords to reinforce their class identity, but rarely do we give them exclusive access to a keyword. After all, if all the classes have equal access to everything, what's the point of having classes to begin with? True. Today we're going to dive deeper into class identity and talk about our upcoming plans for each class. Some of these changes will come in releases during the month of September, others in October, and still others in Update 950 alongside Renegades. So let's dive in. All right, Warlocks. Their Warlock's identity is loser, lame, rift camper, wears a dress. That's their identity. What are they going to do for them? The Warlock is the arcane spellcaster of the group. What they lack in strength, speed, they make up for in knowledge and sorcery. They're the best at performing complex magical rituals that persist in the world. Warlock's universal class abilities give them access to health recovery and ally empowerment. Warlock traits: battlefield control, arcane abilities, ally empowerment. Moving forward, we plan to delete the Warlock from the entirety of Destiny 2. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a little Freudian slip there. We plan to reinforce the Warlock identity. In the short term, we're working on enabling deeper build crafting and finding ways to give Warlocks more ability uptime. Excuse me? They do not need more ability uptime. No. Longer term, we'd like to give Warlocks more mobile healing options and a passive benefit to match the other classes. Here are some of the upcoming Warlock changes we're working on. The following Warlock turrets now count as grenades for stats and perks: Sentry, Soul, Hellion, Bleak, Watcher, Child, Old Gods. Empowering Rift, will now generate neutral game ability energy over time. Kills while standing in Empowering Rift now generate bonus ammo progression. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Titans, the best class. Alright. Titan is the knight of the group. What they lack in intelligence, they make up for with a fist. Okay? They make up for in strength and stability. They're the tip of the spear, creating cover to establish the front line. The Titan is not a traditional melee or tank class, but they have universal access to damage mitigation and increased melee damage. Yeah. So we're the aggressive assault, damage mitigations, artillery expert. Hell yeah. Crayons. Going forward, we'd like to get some more artillery expert flavor into the Titan's kit and give them more abilities to flex their tactician muscles. In the short term, we're working on some updates to Behemoth abilities. Yes, Behemoth is in desperate need of an overhaul. Behemoth is pathetic compared to the other classes. Longer term, we'd like to make some updates to Ward of Dawn and the Sentinel subclass, among other things. Here are a couple of the changes. Howl of the Storm stasis aspect will now grant 2 melee charges. Very nice. Changed stasis crystal spawn pattern and added 4 more crystals. Okay. Bastion Void aspect will now have faster cooldown in PvP. Alright. Hunters, these guys, they just jump around all the time. Never stop jumping. That's the hunter identity. They're the rogue of the group. What they lack in brute force and sorcery, they make up for in precision and agility. They're battlefield provocateurs. Slipping into the enemy's ranks, camping with invisibility, leaving traps, and causing chaos. They quickly find new angles to attack from, dividing the enemy's attention to make them more vulnerable. Alright, here's what the hunters are getting. Attack precision. Oh, this is what their traits are. Attack precision, infiltration, and damage avoidance. Going forward, we'd like to give hunters more abilities to help support their fire team. Longer term, we'd like to address the feedback that Night Stalker relies too much on invisibility. Thank you. Thank you. On your mark, solar aspect. Stacks of on your mark now give weapons stat instead of weapons handling and reload. Max of 40 weapon stat instead of 10 stacks. Rescaled stat count to max of 10 stacks. Precision hits now give 1 stack. Precision final blows now give 2. Precision final blows at 10 stacks now cure you instead of giving radiant. Okay, golden gun deadshot now refunds ammo on golden gun final blows instead of ignitions. Okay, whoa. Now extends super duration on golden gun final blows. Duration gain diminishes with final blows, grants less than crucible. And marksman dodge now reloads all weapons on activation. Now picks up nearby ammo bricks on activation. Picking up your ammo bricks nearby. Nice. Class identity wrap up. All right. We love all of Destiny's classes equally. No, you don't. You love Warlocks more. Stop lying, Bungie. We know which class you like the most, okay? There's one class that got to self-resurrect. Think about that. And we're dedicated to making sure that each has a chance to shine. We don't want any of the classes to be viewed as the DPS classes. The 3 classes should be capable of roughly the same damage output. That said, there will always be certain builds that are more effective than others in different contexts. Okay, very good. In the future, we're interested in doing more to make each class's identity more distinct, potentially through stronger passive effects for each class. However, this adds more complexity to an already complex game, and the player experience comes first. We appreciate the feedback you've given on classes, and we ask you to continue to provide feedback whenever you have it. More Bonk from Titan. I want a super that's just a gigantic fist that just goes around smashing things for 10 seconds. The Edge of Fate Art Blast. Okay. So if you haven't seen that, there's an ArtStation article that has all the art and concept art for the Edge of Fate. It's pretty good. We got a PAX West cosplay meetup. So if you're interested in meeting up at PAX West, you can dress up and enjoy the Destiny 2 cosplay. Very cool. Very nice. And we got a creator lore panel there as well. Very cool. Very cool. All right. And we got the Destiny Rising launch. We've been playing this bad boy. It actually plays pretty good on the new emulator they got, the Mumu emulator. It looks like you can get an emblem if you log in as well. So if you want a free emblem, if you want this emblem, you can log in and follow the instructions on the site. All right, last chance to donate for the Ronald McDonald Charities if you want the emblem. And that's it. Known issues list. Artist of the week, very nice. Movie of the week, and that's wrap. Very cool, very cool. Let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.